A woman was already dead when they wheeled the passenger onto an airplane, turns out. The disappearance of geese sparks fears that they're being stolen and eaten for the holidays, and a researcher is charged with using women's underwear to smuggle E. coli in from China. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a lonely man in a closet. Boop. A woman was already dead when she was wheeled on to an EasyJet flight, according to passengers. Oh, sure, you let the dead lady on, but heaven forbid I'm a little drunk. I can't get on a flight. What's going on here? Doesn't seem fair. The article says these EasyJet passengers claim that an elderly British woman was assisted onto a flight by her family, but she was already dead before she got onto the plane. Man, how long was this flight delayed? So long enough for people to just die? Man, it's out of control these days with the flight delays. They got to do something about this. It says the 89-year-old passenger was helped onto the plane at Malaga Airport in Spain by 5 relatives, with onlookers stating that the family informed EasyJet staff that the woman was feeling unwell and that she was sleeping. Nah, she's not dead. She's just a little sleepy. Well, that's all you have to say to get through security. They're not concerned whether or not the person's dead or alive. They just want to make sure you don't bring on a nail clipper or 6 ounces of nail polish, because that's going to take the plane down. Now, according to EasyJet customers, this group managed to board the plane by assuring staff who questioned the woman's apparent ill health that she was, quote, merely tired. One passenger even claimed to hear a member of the group reassure the staff members that they were actually doctors that were with her. Turns out after the family boarded the flight and settled the elderly woman into her seat, the plane began its taxi journey to the end of the runway. However, just moments before the plane took off, the plane abruptly stopped. Witnesses claim that alert members of the cabin crew had finally realized that the woman was not alive. Well, so much for your weekend at Bernie's with Grandma trying to get her on the flight. Did you even try and put glasses on her, sunglasses, something? You gotta put a cigarette in her mouth so people think she's alive. Actually, you can't smoke on planes. You gotta give her a cocktail. Give her a cocktail. No one will know. According to EasyJet, the elderly woman possessed a fit-to-fly certificate. What's that? A fit-to-fly certificate? And she was alive when she boarded the aircraft, apparently. However, the passengers were convinced that something far more serious than fatigue was occurring. Someone named Petra remarked, "What were EasyJet ground staff thinking today? They asked the family 5 times if this woman was okay. She was clearly not okay." Another passenger said, "Well, to the naked eye, she looked like she was already dead to me, slumped, like unconscious, like in a wheelchair. So why would she even be allowed on the flight and then disrupt everybody's plans purely to save the family's repatriation? If I was drunk, they wouldn't let me on, but apparently dead is okay. EasyJet, what is going on here?" Yeah, this passenger thinks the way I think. I'm not allowed because I've had a few too many Kahlua sombreros at the airport bar, but this lady can go on without a heartbeat. Although, to be honest, I would honestly rather sit next to a corpse on a long flight than a 4-year-old all hopped up on sugar. I one time spent a whole flight seated next to a guy who smelled dead, so I kind of know how it feels. Now, another traveler on the flight is quoted as saying, "Everyone on the plane thought she looked dead when she arrived. We talked about it. She should never have been passed as fit to fly. I question that." Well, I mean, it's easy in hindsight to say you were right, but yeah, in the moment, that crew has so much going on. They're really over their heads with all sorts of responsibilities. They seem understaffed. They're very stressed. People yell at them and make demands of them, pretty much insult them, and sometimes attack them, as I've covered on this podcast many, many times. So I can't completely blame the crew. I mean, security, though. How do you get a dead person through security is what I'd like to know. They just looked in her carry-on and was like, well, no liquid, send her on through. Now, consequently, the plane was halted before it could leave the runway, as I stated earlier. Now, this resulted in, get this, a 12-hour delay for the flight to London. Unbelievable. 12 hours? Half the day? Come on. Well, I guess it's a crime scene is probably what's going on. They had to get the authorities on there to inspect the situation. Still 12 hours? Oh, I feel bad for these passengers. It says what became of the woman's body following her removal from the aircraft or the fate of her family members remains unclear at this time, though it's understood that no arrests were made once the death was completely confirmed. There's a statement from EasyJet on here, but no need to read those. They're filled with empty apologies that no one can ever take seriously, but they're paid to say it, so they have to. No explanation as to why the family attempted to bring her on the plane already dead, if she was in fact already dead. I suppose it's cheaper to stick her on a flight than to fly her in a coffin, and do the whole death certificate and repatriation and all that. It comes down to pay for her to travel as a dead person, $5,000. Just buy a ticket on EasyJet, $200. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, if you don't have the money, it's costly to die. It's costly on the family. I don't want to die on my family. I don't really have a family. I mean, I got no kids, but I got a family. They'll all be gone by the time I'm dead, though. But I'm going to cost something to somebody, I assume. It might be you listeners. You guys might be on the hook for my funeral, so that'll be a separate buy me a coffee campaign. I do think, though, this is a quirky situation, deserving of perhaps a new Weekend at Bernie's movie. You guys are familiar with the Weekend at Bernie's film franchise, where they lug around a dead guy and try and play him off as alive in various situations. Quite funny. I came up with some titles for this Weekend at Bernie's Part 3? Is it 3, 4? What is it? We'll just call it Part 8. How about that? Weekend at Bernie's 8, The Mile Die Club. Weekend at Bernie's 8, Terminal in the Terminal. Weekend at Bernie's 8, Dead on Departure. And Weekend at Bernie's 8, The Flying Dead. The disappearance of some geese in the area sparks fears that they're being stolen for Christmas dinner. The story's out of Wales. A popular Welsh park has been left a little unsettled after 5 pet geese vanished within the space of a week, sparking fears that these geese may have ended up on some festive dinner tables. Well, slow it down, all right? We haven't even had Christmas yet, so no one's having their Christmas dinner. So there hasn't been a goose on a Christmas dinner table. Are people eating the goose, packing goose lunches for work? I don't know. Can you eat goose? I got a lot of questions. I'm pretty sure people used to eat geese. They also used to eat swan. It was a delicacy eaten by the wealthy. Swans. I'd imagine a swan might taste pretty good. I want that neck meat, right? I'm kidding, guys. I don't know if I could eat a swan. It's just too beautiful. Yeah, that's where I draw the line. I'll eat just about anything unless it's pretty. It's called being a good person, guys. You should try it. Let's get some more information. I really find this hard to believe that they're eating the geese. Also, why are they pets in a park? People have pet geese, which is odd, and they bring the geese to the park. Is it like a goose walking park, like a dog walking park? Okay. It says here the birds lived along a stream running through Black Ash Park in Liswery, Newport, and they are owned by a local resident and are kept as pets rather than livestock. So somebody owns these geese, but they're kept in a public park? What is he? Just put a tag on them? And those are my geese? You go to the park and feed them and walk them? This is some bizarre behavior. But, I mean, I guess if it makes you happy, have some pet geese. I mean, the world's on fire. Just do what you love right now, as long as it's not harming anybody. It says, once numbering around a dozen, almost half of the flock of geese have disappeared. Would you call them a gaggle? I believe you would. Half of the gaggle have disappeared, prompting concerns among those who regularly use the park. The council's concerned. All right, this is moving up the chain of command here. They say the geese have been a familiar sight in the area for many years. Here's a quote from someone named Alan Morris, who says, yes, the geese have been there as far back as I can remember, really. They're sort of like little local celebrities around here. They live on the stream that runs through Black Ash Park. There's quite a flock of them, and they're semi-tame. There's a person who owns them, but they don't really see it like that. They can obviously look after themselves. All right, Morris, you sound a little creepy. I think Morris might have ate the geese. Check his freezer. Now, Morris admitted that the birds have long divided opinion locally, but are widely regarded as part of the community. The locals either love them or hate them. It's mostly love, though, but there are one or two who don't like the mess they make on their lawns. It would be fair to say they are part of our community. But the owner has recently reported that 5 or 6 of the geese have suddenly disappeared, and with goose being one of the meats that is traditionally served at Christmas. Is that so? Traditionally served at Christmas? How do you serve goose for Christmas? I'm curious how you prepare a goose. Oh, well, look at this. You can roast a goose for the holidays, and I guess it's more common than I thought. Preparing a Christmas goose primarily involves managing its abundant fat content to ensure the skin becomes crisp while the meat remains moist. So I guess it's kind of like cooking a duck in a way. Wow, looks like even Gordon Ramsay cooked a spiced Christmas goose. It's on YouTube if you want to watch the scene. Okay, so because the goose is linked to a Christmas meal, suspicions have turned towards festive theft, although there is really no evidence to confirm what has happened to these missing birds. In light of the theft, Morris said he shared a message on Facebook urging people to leave the geese alone. I told people if you want to eat a goose for Christmas, then go and buy one. Go to the butcher or the supermarket, not your local park. Well, Morris, if someone's killing the geese to eat them, they're beyond reason. I mean, what's wrong with you? Come on. More than likely, they can't afford to buy a whole goose at the butcher or the supermarket. He also dismissed online speculation attempting to link the disappearances of the goose to immigrants. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. For crying out loud, they're eating the goose. They're eating the geese. What do you call more than one goose? Geese? Gaggles of geese? Geegles. I think they're geegles. The article ends by saying the local residents have begun keeping an eye on the remaining birds to make sure that they're not going to be swiped for a Christmas meal. I would say don't eat the local fowl if you need a Christmas meal. Just food pantries, that sort of thing. That's what Morris should have suggested. Just go to a food pantry or a shelter of some sort. I mean, maybe a church is giving out meals at Christmas. Probably not, though. The comedy club I work at is giving out meals on Christmas. Maybe a comedy club over there is giving out some meals on Christmas. But, don't eat the geese, man.
You're listening to Weird AF News with Jonesy.
At Capella University, learning online doesn't mean learning alone. You'll get support from people who care about your success, like your enrollment specialist who gets to know you and the goals you'd like to achieve. You'll also get a designated academic coach who's with you throughout your entire program. Plus, career coaches are available to help you navigate your professional goals. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
A researcher is charged with using women's panties to smuggle E. coli from China into the U.S. Wow, what in the weird science did I just read? We got here a postdoctoral researcher at Indiana University who's been federally charged after using women's underwear shipments to smuggle E. coli from China into the U.S. I don't know why you would smuggle E. coli into the U.S. We have it here. If you want to get it, just, go to the dollar store and buy their frozen chicken. You'll get it for sure. Let's get the details here of this crazy scientific story here. I should have did the sound of science up top. I forgot. The FBI announced that Yu Huang Zhang is a J-1 visa holder from China and has been charged with conspiracy, smuggling goods into the U.S., and false informing. How dare you false inform? A criminal complaint was filed last month in federal court, confirms that this guy is a researcher at Indiana University. Now, last month, November, the FBI Indianapolis division received a tip regarding Chinese nationals smuggling some biological pathogens into the United States. Specifically, the tip alleged that shipments from China were being sent to Indiana University and their researchers, including Xing. Shipping documents obtained by the FBI show that Xing had recently gotten a package from China to his Bloomington residence. The package was reportedly valued at $186 and contained underwear of man-made fibers, women's underwear specifically. Oh, I thought he was getting on the plane wearing the women's underwear with E. coli down his pants. I thought it was much more exciting. Or he made his wife put the E. coli down her shorts. Come on, honey. Come on, put the bacteria down your panties. Oh, it's just for one flight. But no, he was ordering women's underwear from China, and there was E. coli in there. I don't even want to know how that all came about. You call a fabric company and wheel and deal with your E. coli research bucks. Again, why don't you just get E. coli here? It's here. Call up Tyson Chicken. They've had some incidents over the past few years. They know where the E. coli is, probably in one of their plants. Call up the Spam Company or any canned meat place. They're gonna know where the E. coli is. They see it. Okay, so apparently Zhang was shipping in purchasing women's underwear from China. Court documents further noted how it was strange that the company he was buying the underwear from was called Guangzhou Science Tech Innovation Trading. Oh, come on. This guy's not dotting his I's and crossing his lowercase t's. At the time the shipment was discovered, investigators learned Zhang was traveling outside the U.S. and was returning via a flight to Chicago O'Hare International Airport. And so they requested that customs authorities stop him upon arrival and conduct an inspection and an interview. Mr. Zhang, we've noticed that you've been purchasing a lot of women's underwears. What could be the reason for this? Now, when Zhang was interviewed, he was pressed on whether these packages contained underwear that he was bringing into Chicago. He said there was clothing inside, but also some plasmid DNA sent to him from his former university. He allegedly went on to say that the plasmid DNA, is that another word for E. coli? He says it was derived from Escherichia coli, or E. coli. Oh, it is E. coli. It was shipped to him for his research at Indiana University. When asked why the package was labeled as being women's underwear, he reportedly said it was to avoid being detected by CBP. So it sounds like Zhang is coming clean here. He's been officially charged. He faces charges of conspiracy, smuggling goods, and false statements. How dare you make false statements? What do you think this is? What do you think, you're a politician? Well, good job, everybody. You got to give it up to the FBI for cracking down on this E. coli, narrowly avoiding a pantidemic. Pantidemic, come on.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibilities.
Well, thank you, my friends and loyal listeners, for listening to the Weird AF News podcast, because people are strange when you're a stranger. Let's give some shout-outs to people that have been supporting the podcast during the holidays, such as Steven in Portland, who bought me some coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. Steven wrote, "Thank you, Jonesy, for serving up the weirdest news nuggets smothered in your tasty silly sauce. Happy holidays." Steven's very funny. And it has a way with words. The weirdest news nuggets smothered in my tasty silly sauce. I'm so proud. I'm going to call it that all the time now, Steven. Thank you so much for coining some phrases. We also want to give a shout out to Noel Brown. Noel Brown bought me coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. Noel is a fan of the show, and he has an amazing podcast that I am also a fan of and that you should be a fan of. It's called A Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, and it's extremely weird. It's a little conspiratorial, and it's very, very funny, and it's available on all podcast players. Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. So you should check that out. You know, maybe make it part of your weird podcast lineup. If you like this one, you're going to love that one. Simple. Okay, also, who else we have here? Chef Ryan bought me coffees and wrote, "Happy holidays, man, from your bud in the PNW." You know, I really didn't know what the PNW stood for until Ryan taught me. It's Pacific Northwest, and it covers a large area of strippers is what's really going on up there. It's just, so it's like, it's all strippers. The PNW, it's just strippers. I'm kidding. But shout out to Chef Ryan, who's one of the weirdos I've actually met. We got a couple beers when he came out to Los Angeles for work. It's pretty cool. Okay, also we have, who else? Someone else bought me coffees, I thought. Let me see. Jojo. Oh, yes, Jojo from Texas. Jojo, long-time supporter, long-time listener. Beautiful, beautiful fan of Weird AF News and Jonesy. She bought me some coffees as well off my website, weirdafnews.com. If you guys want to support the show, it's pretty easy. Just go to weirdafnews.com, click on the join a Patreon or buy a coffee. Either one of those are wonderful for the holidays. Or you can just tell a friend while you're sipping on some eggnog next to a crackling fire. Smoking crack next to a eggnog fire is what I meant to say. Just kidding. I'm just joshing. I'm high on caffeine. Nonetheless, I got a busy week here. It's crazy, but I'm putting out the episodes. when I can. So this one's a little late. I apologize, but had a doctor's appointment and still had to do some Christmas shopping, man. I'm trying to squeeze it in. I'm the type of person that waits to the last couple days to do anything. So this week is going to be a little nuts for me because I procrastinate. I'm a procrastinator, and I'm proud of it. Anyways, I hope you'll love me nonetheless. See you tomorrow.